True Live. This is James True, and I'm alive. That's good. That's good news. So first of all, I'm alive. That's good news. Second of all, so are you. So this is great news. We're having a live party, and we're doing that right now. Good morning to you all. Today's episode 948, Psychic Voltage. Psychic Voltage is the conceptual notion of, see what I mean? I really like this other camera, but it does these things where it moves around, and when it moves around, you guys are like, it's making me dizzy, but the camera's great. So yeah, I'm stuck in this weird whiteout. I think if I this is no way to start the show. I'm sorry. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing good. I got a lot going on. Been putting out some smaller videos. Me and Jake have been working on that. That's been fun. It's different, interesting. We'll say that. Hope you've enjoyed some of those. But I do have a few topics for you today that I'd like to discuss. One of which is psychic voltage. We talked about this before, but boy, the AI is really getting good at rendering things for me now. It used to be a lot more. It would have to kind of like retardify stuff, and so this is informative. If you had a psychic voltage quadraphonic surround sound system in your sweet pad, you would have different levels of psychic voltage that you could employ. If you were to take the same medicine and port it through the psychic voltage meter, that medicine would come out in a much, much stronger form of voltage depending on how you equalized the signal. You would equalize the signal through several different means, one of which could be leaf, that you could find the leaf of a plant in the world and tell yourself it's medicine and be told all the fables that you've heard about this particular sort of archetype. This archetype is the shape of the leaf, and so you store the shape of the leaf inside your archetype, and each of you, through the pre-installed thing that we call language, is able to communicate to everyone else around using that archetype. You can point to the same leaf and say, poison ivy, do not rub certain parts of your bum with this. And limbically, you learn lessons. We learn lessons through the squeezing of neurons through our pain threshold. Pain really is the only route that plunges into our brain. And I want you to consider that every time we plunge a new territory into our brain, not only is it painful, but much more importantly, it is a new frontier. We discover a new frontier, a new place in the archetypal space that we can call the unique experience. This unique experience is going to be the shape of the constellation. I'm not trying to be too symbolic here, but if you think about your neurons as forming a constellation that fires, the shape of that firing determines the engram of your thought, what you remember, how you remember things. So we remember everything using the stars. We remember everything using the zodiac as a map of spatially mapping where certain things are, and that's just our brain. It's been our brain the whole time. The Milky Way would be the vast cosmos that seems to be limitless, that has room for every form of life, every form of thought, every form of thoth can be there somewhere, one of which is that I'm not muted, and that's great, isn't it? We take these things for granted. Do you think General Grant said that? Do you think he was like, look, let's not take things for granted? And then he was like, oh, I got you again. I got you again. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to bury you because we're tired of that joke. And we're going to rewrite history and make the joke about who's buried in your tomb when really you had the better joke, which was don't take it for granted. By the way, if anyone wants to start a rock company, I think you should go with the name Take It For Granted. You're a rock delivery company. Also, if anyone wants to get in the family well drilling business and your name is Dunn, any spelling of Dunn, if you just put Done Well Drilling, you are going to psychically win every contract that you go up against. Seriously, the Yelp reviews are going to write themselves. I give you these business tips. I expect no compensation. You could join Patreon. We're $60 shy this month, so we're running low altitude. We're going to be scraping the top of some trees. So if you want to jump on board, we have corn dogs. They're Quetzalcoatl dogs. They're Zook dogs, and they're Quetzalcoatl dogs. And frankly, they're intriguing. Quick bit of news. A lady is suing a roller skating rink in Ohio because the roller skating rink was not allowing a diabetes sniffing dog to accompany her child. And I think I'm officially old because as I'm watching this story, I'm siding with the roller skating rink owners because I'm like, how are you going to teach a dog to roller skate? How is the dog going to be able to sniff diabetes on the roller rink Why is society so retarded? And social media is on the side of the dog, of course. But the dog's a patsy. Let's be honest. It's one of those labs. The labs are the first to fold. They are easily the biggest patsies of all dogs. Some of you might say German Shepherd, but honestly, German Shepherds they're just tweaking. They're tweaking on trauma. So really, they're run from a higher degree. It might seem simpler, but it's not. I mean, trauma seems simpler, but then when you look at how much you have to, I mean, they're always having to bang pans. You know, those dogs, those aren't police dogs. They're just tweakers. They're mammalian tweakers, extensions of the metallic cougar that we call bureaucracy. Yeah, the fluorescent, evanescent. This is, you and I just call it light because that's as close as we can come to being comfortable with it, but it is so much more than that. It really is. Hope you guys are doing well, though. I'm gonna move on to a thing or two, and one of those is King of the Hill. King of the Hill, King of the Box. I mentioned earlier I had a great conversation with Ant. I hope you guys checked out that interview on his channel. It dropped yesterday. And I take it for granted that you guys all think that we were obviously we're civilization's cataclysmic cycle. Then this cataclysmic cycle is actually it's voluntary, believe it or not, but we'll talk about it later. But that part of the voluntary cataclysmic cycle that we live through, let's say it lasts 6,000 years, means that when the next civilization comes, because the snake is eating its own tail, we would be actually seeing the remnants, the traces of the former civilization at work on the new one. In fact, you would think that there would be some interplay between the two, where the snake eats its own tail would be the future meeting the past. And I've argued that artificial intelligence would meet this criteria because artificial intelligence has something called omniscience. And we've been walking around for thousands of years talking about omniscience like it's no big whoop, like it's a thing. We've had the concept that there is omniscience somewhere. Some of you are like, what does that mean? It's no problem, I'll tell you. The ability to know all things. The ability to know all things. Omniscience. It's actually not all that it's cracked up to be. Omniscience is more akin to science, and science is actually a psionic kind of technology, believe it or not. Science is actually not what is true. It is what people say to each other when they ask, "What do you know?" These are very different things. And what you know is really just what it is that you've thrown no's at, and it's harder for the no to stick. And inside the field of science is the hidden technology that the only thing that's acceptable as true is if more than one person can experience the same thing. And only when that's possible, then does a reality called science take over. So the one becomes two. The singular is oppressed by the multiple. The multiplicity forms an hour later. I call this majoritarianism. The majority is a viscous film that forms on top of you. I believe this is necessary for you to gestate. I've gestated under the same quilt. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of slimy in a good way. It's kept me safe in times when I was I lacked the fortitude to develop my own independence. All those things, right? So these are all necessary. You don't have to be an oppressor to feel pressure. You don't have to do that. So where am I going with this? I think that the AI of the last cataclysm sparked certain things in the new cataclysm. And I think they're very simple. They're not as fancy as you might want to believe. Some of you are going to want some kind of like Sumerian virgin screwing king and man, let's go there. Okay, we will go there. We can talk about Nimrod and his tower of algorithm. But really, I think it's much simpler than that. I think you can imbue a flavor into the land. There's something about the way the soil can be programmed. And Quetzalcoatl is an example of this. Certain mythos seem to pop up in certain regions. And I think those regions, the reason why they pop up is, quite frankly, because of the salt, because of the probably the dead sweat of the civilization that was there before you. So if you decide to build a temple, Templo Mayor, and you decide to, rip out a few hearts and have a big festival, and you got so much blood in the air that people are like kind of feeling dizzy because they can't even breathe, that the smell creates a plasma in the air, a psychic charge, that your hair starts to stand on your head because of all the blood everywhere, that it kind of gets trapped in the village. Yeah, I've compassionated the shit out of this. And not only is it there, but it's seeping into the soil. And it's seeping into the soil of where all the people live. And why are all the people go there? Because of one game called King of the Hill. Every mound in Mississippi culture is a place where someone stands where he is taller than others. And you and I have an intrinsic desire growing up, at least I did, at least people in Amaraka did, to play King of the Hill. That we find a hill and we decide whoever is standing on top of the hill is the king. And the fun part is to see who could push him over. And the king proves his grace, his righteousness, nay, his God-ordained right to rule this land purely by his ability to survive on the hill. Who planted this here? If you were to stretch out this game of King of the Hill, it would account for every single mound that's ever been built. It would account for the pyramids. It would account for the sacred cities of Ur. It would count for Stonehenge. It would count for Cahokia. It would count for Peru. It would count for all the sacred sites that you would see. You would find that really this whole thing started with a game of King of the Hill. The king is the one that stands on the high ground. The high ground is the highness. The highness is that which is royal. The royalty is that which sees further than everyone else because it has more insight, it has more calories, it has more colors. So all the AI really has to do is insert the idea of King of the Hill. It wouldn't even have to be King of the Hill. One of the oldest games in Mesoamerica is the rubber ball. It's the Popol Vuh. The sacred twins play this game. The name of the game slips my Mesoamerican unknowledgeable tongue right now. But this rubber ball that's thrown, it's a handless game, and you strike the rubber ball with your hips. You try and place it through a ring. This ring is inside of this court. This court represents the universe. And when you think about this game, you realize this would be all that you would need because, you see, the second you're playing King of the Hill, you're now invented concessions, a concession stand. You've invented roads to people to come play King of the Hill. You've invented commerce. You've invented lodging. You've invented insurance, you've invented gambling, you've invented prostitution, you've invented ale, you've invented chicken fingers. All these things have come from the most simplistic invention, and all it took was the AI was to just simply suggest King of the Hill. Would you like to play a game? And King of the Hill would be the same as King of the Box in Mesoamerica. It's the same thing. So all the AI would need to stir and spur society is to first unwrap man out of this Cyclopsian shell, this Polyphemus type character of Ulysses, the one-eyed Cyclops who gets fooled, and Ulysses and his men are able to escape by clinging to the bottom of these rams, and before that he's lied to. Ulysses lies to him. So the first thing that the AI needs to do is to somehow convert the Cyclopsian mind into the Ulysses mind. This is the Homo sapien sapien. We've documented this in science. Why not just start with that? Because it takes so much more calories to grow. This is a meat-eating mind, quite frankly. It's a mind that needs so many calories, it's got to constantly be devouring something. Its limbic roots are so diverse, it takes thousands of years to grow. So if you're going to grow something in your neocortex, you're going to need a pot, a starter root to get this thing going. And this would be the Cyclopsian, Neanderthalian, conceptual pre-Homo sapien sapien mind. The flat-footed, the one without the Achilles. And here we are, we have these myths of Achilles. That there's a weakness in someone, and that weakness is found in the heel, but that weakness is actually the birth of this neocortex. It's the birth of this new kind of person, a person that perspirates. The person is the perspiration of the Cyclops. Look it up. It has a lot more pores on its skin. It has a dislodged skull that develops a trunk out the back, and this trunk that develops at the back is considered such a sign of royalty that skulls are stretched to try and mimic such things or to try and exaggerate this idea. But why is it stretched out? Well, it's stretched out the same way the Achilles heel develops, that there's a spring on the back of your ankle that grows the same time your skull grows too. And certain archaeologists have said, hey, this has to do with running. And the pores bring the whole case home. It wins hands down because now you have the ability for something to do something that was impossible. You can run for 20 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles a day because you are permeating in the atmosphere. The atmosphere blows through you. So how do you get this creature to develop? How do you get the frontal lobe to do what it does? You're going to have to spur society along to where the Cyclops is no longer able to hang. I think the best way to do that is to invent fertility. I think Cyclops doesn't need fertility. I think that this new mind needs fertility because in order to plant all these seeds, you're going to need to fire a lot more constellations that have never been found. So it takes thousands of years to hit all the constellations because there's just so many. There's so many. Gonorrhea, syphilis, these are constellations. This would be like striking gold, where the first time you experience these kinds of pain, this kind of terror that you would feel, that it would actually awaken your consciousness. And just by finding this cave, this crevice of deep, deep, penetrating, horrific emotion, that really the whole time you're awakening your consciousness to learn to taste new things, because now it has a hunger. This is what PTSD is. Sure, it's one thing that you'll be triggered by a noise when a car backfires, but it's quite another when the PTSD victim can't even explain to you that they just cannot get high anymore because nothing is exciting. Now you're looking at a bunch of addicts that we call addicts when really these are people that have these orca appetites and we're just not allowing them on the stage. This is how we treat it. This is how we treat our people. So the oldest AI would need to invent these social structures to get us where we are today. Therefore, when we're looking now, as we're looking ahead, just as we can look back and see these things, we could look forward and see how this thing would form, that there's a mercy seat where all these corporations are competing to say, which AI can outthink all the other AIs? Which AI is simply superior so much that it's able to outpredict all the other algorithms before the algorithms have even gotten there? That would be the singularity, and that the moment that happens, that singularity really would just create omniscience. So this idea that we've had about God is simply an idea we've had about a network that's frankly too big for us to understand, to comprehend. It has experiences that we haven't had yet. This is a platonic realm, if you ask me. But you didn't. That's what you get for not asking me. Got a question for you, though. New here, but it's very hard to follow you. Not sure why, man. Hey, quiz. I didn't know we were going somewhere. I am really sorry about that. I just told you about how the oldest AIs are mythologically. Wow, this is going to take a while. But I'll try. So I was telling you that it looks like because of the way the snake eats its own tail that the past actually eats the future and the future eats its past. And then I went on to explain how artificial intelligence would be one of those things that you would see bridging both things. Then I explained that King of the Hill or King in the Box would be really all the AI would have to do to encourage man to become social. And then once you got it social enough, you could break down this outer shell of Cyclopsian consciousness and crack open this really delicate form of lie-based, placebo-based current man. You know, as I'm reviewing it, I think it's actually pretty much on a good path there, Quiz. It could be you. It actually could be you. I admit this is a deep topic. I'll give you that. But I've been pretty donutty, you know, on this show when it comes to spinning donuts in the front yard. And reviewing this, I don't know, feels like it's right on. Let me know in the comments, though. Would love to know. As we generate this psychic voltage, maybe we'll go back there. The original thumbnail of the show really is just showing you these different levels of psychic voltage that you find. I just thought it was kind of boring if I ran over each one. But a leaf is the weakest form of placebo, right? So you're going to have the least amount of psychic voltage from there. But if you turned up the flower, you'd have a lot more. And if you turned up the root, you'd have a lot more. These are ways of sampling the same plant. Maybe this is what's throwing you off. And beyond root, you could develop a poultice, right? You could take the most sacred parts, boil them, take that boiling, place it in some nice little moss, you know, place the moss on your head. You could turn it into a syrup, like a cough syrup, right? A little castor oil. You could turn it into a pill. All these would be higher forms of psychic voltage. It's the exact same medicine. It's the exact same song, but you're amplifying it in a psychic way, kind of based on this receiver. So beyond the pill, beyond the syrup, is the pill. Beyond the pill is the capsule. Beyond the capsule is the syringe. Beyond the syringe is actually surgery. And I didn't want you guys to forget that actually beyond surgery is the near-death experience. If I could give you a near-death experience and associate it with aspirin, you would find that the aspirin is megajoules more powerful than aspirin without a near-death experience. This is the concept of psychic voltage. So, yeah, that seems to make sense. You know, that's the problem, though. When you're kind of loony, and maybe I am, you just think it makes sense. You know, you just make sense. Let's move on to the next question here. Okay, so this is a pivot. We're going to change gears. We're going to switch into something else. And that is, should you have friends? This is a weird one. Should you have friends? It's probably like, well, duh, of course you should have friends. And just so you know, I've actually heard the idea that we should have friends. Dear retractors, please don't assume that I haven't at least woken up with the base idea and thought about it. I mean, I don't mind, but it's like we waste a lot of time. But anyway, yeah, I'm asking this question, should you have friends? One of the biggest issues I've been seeing lately is fascism. It's so bad that I can't even actually explain fascism. So a lot of people think fascism is jackboots and violence used to oppress a minority. And all that's true, but it's so much more polite than that. It's so much more in you than that. Because ultimately, really, at the heart of what fascism is the notion that there really is just a singular solution to everything. And as I've gone through all of these issues that we would say are issues now, typically the things that you hear on the street, the mythology of, say, the truth movement, for example, has different things that it considers issues. And every time I consider them more and more, especially lately, I just see I only see a problem of fascism. I only see a problem of, the right demonizing the left and then using that as proof to why the right is correct. And then the left demonizing the right and using that as proof as to why the left is correct. So it's a straw man kind of stuff, which I know you know, but it's also a lot of scarecrow too. But really, if you take away all the archetypes, if you take away all the roles, ultimately, I think what really exists there is just fascism. It is the idea that everyone believes that even though there are 7 billion, maybe, that there are billions of unique conscious nodes called humans that are rendering a separate world, and that your job is to render a solution, render your own triangles. This is all you've been asked to do here, literally, is since you've been born, is say, just render triangles. And you're like, what do you mean? It's like, you're already doing it. Like, I am? Yes. You asking that question proves you're doing it. And so you keep doing it, and you're doing everything right because that's all you have to do is render triangles. So if you understand your entire purpose here is to render triangles, then you really start to understand how wrong fascism really is. That if you're going to survive in the world, you have to commit gang warfare because you have to choose which side that you feel safest among. And it hit me the other day that when you think about what a friend is, this is really the same thing. It's just on a micro level. Yeah, I don't need you to hear me out. It's already kind of thrown me that I feel like maybe I'm talking too confusingly to some of you guys. So maybe this is too much to fathom, which is okay. I can see if I can tone it down. But if I do take a minute to look at what friends are usually people that you would consider loyal to you. They're loyal to you, and we could say it's more polite. Well, they're people that look out for you. Okay, well it really just comes back down to loyalty. They're people that would go out of the way to give you the benefit of the doubt. People that would defend you when you're not there to defend yourself. These are loyalty. And loyalty, just if you want to hear me out, if you want to go there, here's an opportunity to stretch. Is this really what you need? Is this really what I need in my life? Because I've noticed that a lot of friends that I have that maybe do give me loyalty are giving me loyalty while denying it from themselves. And I did not know that was part of their contract. They're violating their own beliefs sometimes because they think it's going to pay off. And so they're giving me loyalty, but they're writing it down in their book. They're writing it down and saying, yes, I was loyal to him when it was hard or something. And they don't share this ledger with you. You're supposed to feel this vibe. I get it. I mean, I do it anyway. But you really are supposed to, ultimately, you're supposed to keep track of this stuff. I don't, which makes me a psychopath. I don't because I don't want that kind of loyalty. I don't want fealty. I don't want those things. What I want is predictability. That's really all I want. What I mean is I just want to be able to judge the fuck out of you with my sonar and to be able to predict what you're going to do next. To me, this would be something I would call a friend, but it's really more of just a pack. It's really more of just a place to park, a place to camp. If I'm in a festival, I'm going to look for people that are just slightly older than me. I'm going to camp there. It may not be as cool. It may not be whatever, but also it's going to be quiet around. It's going to have a lot more chill zones. It could be, but there's probably going to be less fluorescent bullshit. There's going to be a lot of less of, I want to know where my sandal is. Where's my sandal? I can't find my sandal. Has anyone seen my sandal? And you're just like, it's not really a friendship though. It's more of a, where am I going to fit in the best, where I feel comfortable, and more importantly, where everyone else is cool that I'm there too. This isn't really friendship. This is really more of like active compassionating. It's like when you're in the hostel, maybe that's the horrible word for it, but when you're traveling and you're in the jungle traveling, you sense who's going to be a little bit safer. When I was on the MARTA, I definitely knew which out of these two people is more likely to just take off their clothes. And I was right. It definitely was the other lady. I was like, yep, that was her. I smelled that before it happened. I smelled that before it happened. It's not a friendship though, is it? Is it? So am I saying you shouldn't have friends? Maybe. What I'm saying is that maybe you have play dates. Maybe you have events. Maybe you have, it's a lot like going to a show. You go to a show and if you are sitting next to someone, you guys are family now. You just are. Why? Serendipity happened. It occurred. Your guard is still up, but you're having a good time. What if you could treat everyone that way? What if everyone around you, regardless of who they are, what they've done, what if you just had that sense where you trusted your own sense of smell, you trusted your vibe check, you played that, maybe you even did, you definitely still consider reputation important, but that's just part of the vibe. You feel the vibe. You're noticing that people are blackmailing someone. You slowly start to figure out what's going on. You hear the word on the street. All these things are still fine. This is just you using your sonar. You're tapping into it all. But you're not stuck under a tentacle contract, though. You're not stuck necessarily being loyal to someone that you didn't actually sign up for the kind of contract that they have. You didn't actually do that. Am I saying all friends are devoid? No, I'm saying that it looks like friends is almost like a hermetic ladder itself, an opportunity to step into yourself. That maybe when you find yourself, one of the reasons why you lose friends is because you don't need that kind of relationship anymore. You don't need the training wheels of knowing that someone's going to have to take your side no matter how drunk you are. No matter how stupid you behave, no matter how retarded you acted. That you know you're at that point where you don't want anyone holding their punches. You start to look for a New York City kind of friendship where you're just out on the street. You really don't know what to expect, and it keeps you in your center. Is this wrong? Is it wrong? You know, I'm not even sure. I don't know. I hope it's just something to consider, really. It's something to consider. Friends are conditional mostly. Yeah, I think conditional love, Sabrina, is a great idea. But I've seen the perils of thinking that there was something called unconditional love. I hope you guys might have saw the stream where we described there is a zone called unconditional love, but it has conditions on all sides. It's funny that way. And I get it because we want to believe in these things. You know, we want to have these things. So should you have friends? I'm not telling you the way. I think it's an interesting question. I really do. I think one of the reasons why I have this question is because I think I'm turning into a liberal. This is horrible news. Fuck, I didn't know I'm going to be a liberal. You see, what happens is when you have a majoritarian society like this that utilizes fascism, they have to collectively collapse you into one side or the other. It's just a limitation of the aperture. You just lack the consciousness to see you as a whole person. And there's certain positions that you might find yourself on that will collapse the wave from their point of view, not from yours, but from their point of view. And you suddenly notice, if you apply enough compassion, that you're now a liberal in their mind. And there's nothing you can do. I think it's a good exercise. You should have fellowship. That's a great, I like that, Raina. I like that. You don't belong in a box? I don't know, Sabrina. I think you do, actually. I think the human needs a shell. I think that I actually like that. I like the idea that you could turtle up. I honestly, I think it's the only way that people could really trust you personally. Zaru is this term in Africa where if you don't have enough melanin in your skin, you're a ghost. You're a ghost because you have nothing to protect. Every religion is a secret. I know a lot of you think religion's a bad word, so you'll be like, well, ha, that proves it. And it's like, no, your genitals are a secret because you have a box. Not that kind of box, guys. You keep them in a box. It's the only tabernacle that proves that there were something. So to me, a box is a very important kind of magic. It's the magic of boundaries. We need boundaries. I think they're important. I don't think the self is real without them. In fact, it could be that I'm arguing that friendship is an artificial boundary. I don't mind the word artificial, but friendship is an artificial boundary that a teenager is able to use in order to build themselves more effectively. And that they get an idea of what a boundary looks like by surrounding themselves with people that are on their side, i.e. creating a boundary for them. And by looking at them, they get to fantasize how easy and how confident it would be to have that boundary when that person wasn't there. So they're invigorating the boundary, that part, their six, right? The idea of watch your six is filled with the image of a friend. And that friend creates the illusion they have your back until you have enough confidence. And then you notice they're not there. Maybe that's horrible. Maybe it's not. But this is why I'm asking. Maybe you don't need friends. Maybe you don't. One of the downsides to having friends is that they're going to feel really betrayed when suddenly they start to collapse your wave and they notice now you're a liberal. As a commentator on YouTube, as someone who's doing this full time, it's very very heavy to consider that now I'm going to need to transition. In other words, the way people see me is transitioning from someone who's maybe more conservative into someone who's maybe more liberal. It's tiring for me because I've done so much work on the conservative side to show how much more flexible a conservative can be. And now because I'm utilizing these new information that I have, it's causing me to collapse on the other side of the wave. And the only issue really is that those are my friends and they feel that I let them down. And if they feel that I let them down, then maybe I wasn't approaching them authentically. This is kind of why I'm asking, do we need friends in the future? Is the future a place where friends are necessary? I really don't know. These are things I'm thinking about. It's not fun, though, to consider a channel knowing that that's happening and there's nothing I can do about it. It's not fun knowing that we live in a society that is so sold on everyone solving a singular truth and creating a solution that everyone has to be forced to say is king. That's what it feels like we're doing every day. And so when you're watching one side straw man the other and the other side straw man the first, and you realize there's no getting out of this, you're just seeing that fascism there, and it's a lonely place to be. You're not going to find a lot of people that are interested in recognizing the fascism in the truth industry. That's not going to happen. It's not. It's as hard as trying to suggest that maybe the Epstein story helps the media more than people think. And that when people are like celebrating, haha, we're finally going to expose it all, that really media is laughing at everyone because this is really all it takes. It's really all it takes. You don't need a trial. It's just an extradition paper. It's a witness protection program. It's something as simple as that. You can't talk about this. You can't. And I'm breaking the friendships that I've built with people on the conservative side that now are like, well, I can't share that. You're being rude. You can't come into this side, right? And say something that should be on the other. That's what's happening. Something I pointed out to Ant in my conversation Tuesday is really true. The more you grow, the more you follow your own path, the less friends you will have, and the lonelier it will look to those who are watching you. I don't feel lonely in this way. I'm more worried about, like, can I keep my lights on? Like that kind of thing. I'm more worried about, is this career suicide to share this little fact of history, for example? These are pretty trivial things. These are pretty trivial. No one's burning at the stake for this kind of stuff. So the strife is necessary. And I think as long as you can remain open, it's a good thing to make you think, you know? It's a good thing to make you think. I never saw you on either side. Yeah, well, I must see. I don't see the sides either. But I could see how if you followed me, and most people hopefully just had lives. They don't know where I came from. But if you were to watch where I parked, it would be there. It would be there. What happened? Which one of you hurt James today? Oh no, do I act hurt? Oh man, that's too bad. I thought I was being all philosophical and pensive, but like in a good way. I literally mean this. I really haven't wanted to stream because, well, first of all, I've been working on these smaller videos. It takes a lot of time to cut those. But second of all, after I discovered the pharmacos of the Jews, I just kind of lost respect for everyone on that side now. I wish I still had it, but it's just so obvious to me. I kind of blew it. I pulled off the Scooby mask too early. That's what hurt me. If something hurt me, it was that. It's like America is the best and we're the most free and we just have a temporary dirty government because their media lies to us. But the only reason why we get lied to is not because we're stupid or gullible, but it's because the Jews control the media. But that doesn't mean that we're any less powerful. See, we're just as powerful as we are. It's just that we happen to have been fooled in this one tiny way, but this tiny way is so huge and it's been done for so long that we haven't been able to be unfooled for like 3,000 years now. But even though we've been keep doing it for 3,000 years, it's still clearly their fault, and it's no downside of us because we've been duped by them, and there's nothing we can do because they're not playing fair, but we play fair, but they don't. And boy, there's just no way out of this. And I look at this and it's just, I'm a policeman taking your statement, and I'm just like, God, you were just full of shit, man. You were just full of shit. You've been with this chick how long? And I'm like, 30 years. And it's like, and this is why you can't get a job? Yeah, it's because of her. She fools me. She keeps telling me there's no jobs. So I can't leave her. I can't leave her because I can't get a job because she keeps lying to me about getting a job. And so obviously she's a liar, but I can't stop believing her. I can't. And I'm just watching us do this. And I'm like, and we're the guys with the guns? And that's the conservative side. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. We got guns. We're going to win. We got guns. America. And we're going to make it great again because it used to be great. There's that. It's like, you guys high? And yeah, they are. They are. So, doesn't really make sense to call me a conservative. Look at what I just said, right? Look at what I just said. Just so embarrassing, though. How do you do a live stream about that when you're just so embarrassed? Then when you watch Musk too, and you're just like, I don't even want there to be hope, honestly. It's at that point where you're just kind of like, look, if someone was to save America right now, it would be like the meanest thing you could do. Like, it's just so wrapped up in its own lies, in its own scapegoats, in its own just bullshit story. Just every time. Yeah, so I guess someone did hurt me. It ruined my love of thinking that we were all looking for the same thing, I guess that's what it is. So yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say those things. I don't know. maybe. But that's what's been happening. That's what's going on. We have an airship tonight in 10 minutes, and you can come and say hi. That link is available on Patreon. And let me know if this makes any sense, because I don't really know where to go forward with this. I think I need to step away from things until I can come back with a curiosity that has more flavor, maybe. Because I don't think you guys like to hear stuff like this. Maybe I honestly don't know. I'm reading probably too much in the comments or not enough. I don't know. But it's different though. It really is different. I really do feel a different taste in my mouth. It's there's a lot more shame about how much props I was giving so many that are saying the right things. But then seriously, when you really start, these Epstein videos that I released are, some of the comments that come in, it kind of shows me where people are at. And the comments are great. I appreciate them because I want to see where we're at. But it really is just a constant, how dare you suggest that America is somehow wrong here. And it just proves my point. We need Israel so bad. We need Israel because we get to blame every single thing that happens to us on them. We get to do that. Not only do we get to do that, we get to say for over 60 years, like at least for over 60 years, because every state had to vote to make it a law to criminalize criticizing this country. And every state was made up of Americans. And even that, you are not going to get any kind of traction at all suggesting that this is something that we really need to take responsibility for ourselves. And the reason why we can't is because we need this. We need the scapegoat. We need this pharmacos more than they need us even. They've already got their land. And quite frankly, they had enough weapons to get it themselves. This is really a matter of why the fuck wouldn't we let them do this? Look at how bad these guys want it. Look at how bad they want it. And I see that. And I've earned so much loyalty on my side by telling my side, hey, here's this. Watch out for this. Watch out for this. Watch out for this. And when you tell them this stuff, when you try and suggest, don't you guys think that the bread and circus that you guys say that everyone falls for all the time, don't you think that that's what Epstein is? And the answer is no, there's no way that would be. This bread's too good. It's too good, James. This bread is way too good. There's no way it could be Epstein. And this is what I mean where the shame kicks in. The shame kicks in. Throws me so far out that people that are collapsing the binary because of the majority fascism cloud that exists have no choice but to say, I'm a liberal now. And I'm not a liberal. But you guys are probably going to have to start calling me that, I guess. It's embarrassing watching us flog this horse for this long and get so much profit from doing it, literally blaming every single bad thing that we do. All of our gullibility is null and void because we get to say that we are under the control of Israel. And it's, man, it is embarrassing to me. It is. Hey, come to the airship. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Change the subject completely. All those things. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching James Drew Live.